Today on What's Next.
It's almost like a light starts very slowly coming back into your life.
This is a woman who could do everything.
It was like I took a magic wand to the room. The pain was gone.
Hello and welcome back to our humble business abode. This is Growing Boulder headquarters, aka GBHQ, here in Orlando, Florida. I'm Mark Middleton, and it's no secret that bad things can and do happen to good people. As wonderful, exciting, and rewarding as life is, it's also difficult, and at times it can be devastating. And today we're going to share some stories that are difficult because they contain some of life's most important lessons. So go ahead and cue the Rocky montage in your mind, at least, because it is all about the comeback. And here to chase a few chickens, to box a side of beef, to beat the heck out of a speed bag, and to race up the steps of the Philadelphia Museum of Art, to dance around in triumph, are the always inspiring Amy Sweezy, Cecily Wilson, and Bill Schaefer. And Bill, you've got the eye of the tiger, so start us off today, will you?
Yeah, thank you, Mark, and thanks for teeing this up. This is such a good topic because most people don't want to have this conversation. They shy away from it, but we're gonna head straight into this because this can help an awful lot of us out there. As Mark said, there are a lot of bad things out there that happen to good people. Figuring out how to pick up the pieces or how to move forward isn't easy. And I'm thinking one of the toughest things to get over would be the death of one of your kids, especially when it didn't have to happen. But it did happen to Theresa Clower. For her, the only way to push past the grief was by creating something, in her case, a public exhibit to remember those who died the same way as her son.
That was the call no parent wants to have. You know, those 3 words, Devin is dead, on the other line. It can still bring up unbelievable emotion.
4 years later, and Theresa Clower still finds it difficult to discuss her son, dead at 32 from fentanyl poisoning. He's far from the only one. Fentanyl overdoses are the #1 cause of death in young adults, more than car accidents, suicides, and even cancer. Drugs like heroin, meth, and marijuana can be laced with it, and even in the smallest amounts, fentanyl is deadly. Users, like Devin, never know it's there, leaving families shattered and lost.
Drawing him and signing my name at the end of that was my release. That was my goodbye to Devin. Very, very powerful. And I could not stop drawing people's faces. I just had to keep drawing people's faces.
She began to seek others who had also died like Devin so she could draw their portrait, share their stories, and put real faces to this overlooked epidemic.
Every single portrait is somebody who was misunderstood, undervalued, written off.
Yeah.
But because of what you did, we can look at their faces, we can look in their eyes.
They're beautiful, aren't they?
They look like us.
They do look like us. They were us. Yeah.
Each portrait is paired with a description of who they were, what they were like, and how they died. She put them together in a powerful and unique touring exhibit called Into Light.
As hard as it's been, this project has been a meaningful purpose in my life at this point that I can only say thank you, Devin. I can only say thank you. If we can open up conversation about this disease, if we can sit and talk about it in whatever form, then I'm able to contribute in a way to helping, and that's what I want to do.
And for Theresa, finding a way to take the pain and give it purpose is what's given her a way forward, a way to recover and to truly live again.
It's almost like a light starts very slowly coming back into your life. And when you get there to that point where that light starts to shine slightly, then you start thinking about what's next. And in my case, what was next evolved into Light Project.
And that's exactly what she is doing. It's so powerful, even though it's so simple. And if you need to reach out for any reason or would just like to learn more, go to intolightproject.org. And she's bringing awareness to this epidemic of opioid addiction, which still has that stigma of being a bunch of addicts who did it to themselves. But she hopes by starting a conversation, she can change our perception. So this is a great conversation piece and a great topic. So let me start with you, Mark. Are there other issues out there where you think maybe just not being afraid to start a conversation can make a difference?
Boy, there's lots of them, Bill. And by the way, that was a beautiful story. Thank you for that. We urgently need a national conversation about the challenges of caregiving and the need to help the over 60 million unpaid caregivers that are in the U.S. alone. And, as we all know, their struggles were made worse by the pandemic. In fact, a CDC study showed that a startling 33% of all unpaid caregivers increased substance abuse after the pandemic. So in a way, it's related to the story you just told us. And 31% of all unpaid caregivers seriously have considered suicide. And of course, this is all part of a bigger discussion on mental health issues, which we need to talk openly about as well.
I think for me, the topic is domestic violence, because as a product of domestic violence from childhood, when I won the pageant of Mrs. Florida International, that was my platform. And so getting out the message of how it can affect everybody, no matter the color, the economic status, or anything, domestic violence is a pandemic that's affecting every single last one of us.
You want to believe that you're going to get out of, or that she's going to get out, or that we are going to get out of this storm. And then you realize it's not letting us out.
Welcome back to What's Next. Dan Gasby was the husband and business partner to Bea Smith, who of course was the well-known actress and author and lifestyle guru. And the two were building a global brand when Bea was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's at the age of just 64. Dan then became her primary caregiver, and together they openly shared their experience in the book Before I Forget. And then in 2020, at the age of 70, after 26 years of marriage, Bea passed away, and Dan became one of the world's leading voices for Alzheimer's awareness, and really, unexpectedly, a lightning rod for controversy.
This is a woman who could do everything, and she did everything effortlessly and with grace and with style. To talk about Alzheimer's, to talk about dementia, you really got to understand people don't know what's going on because the first signs are ever so slight, and then it becomes intermittent, and then all hell breaks loose. You want to believe that you're going to get out of, or that she's going to get out, or that we are going to get out of this storm. And then you realize it's not letting us out. She always believed if it's all about you, it's really not about much. That's why we wrote the book Before I Forget.
You did not run. So many people do run. You stayed there. You cared for her. You loved her. At some point, your relationship changes and it's no longer what it was. And you developed another relationship, and that did not sit well with many of her fans. Do you think it was because you developed another relationship with a woman when the woman that you were married to had this huge fan base, or was it because you developed a relationship with another woman who happened to be white?
Let's put it this way. D, all of the above. You know, the amazing thing, Mark, is that Barbara and I talked about this, that if something happened and we became incapacitated, that we would go on. And the person I was involved with was going through the same thing, and we became close. I took, and so did the lady I was with, took unbelievable heat. I mean, I had the protective services coming every day because they believed that she was being abused. I had people who would spit at me. I had somebody throw meat over the fence with my dogs with antifreeze on it. I mean, this was some serious stuff. I am not angry, but I am going to be, let's put it this way, I'm going to advance what I believe. And I know that there are good people in all different races, creeds, religions, what have you. I want to see dementia. I want to see brain disease in the rearview mirror in our society. That's why I joined the American Brain Foundation, because they're working on a host of diseases, because it's all neurological. It all starts at the top. The only difference between us and other mammals is that 3.5 pounds of white gray matter above our eyebrows and underneath our skull. It makes us who we are. And so I know she would do that if it was me in the same situation. And I've committed myself to doing that.
The provocative part of his experience is something that millions of adults are now dealing with. So what do you do when your spouse is alive but really no longer there? Do you suck it up and put your life on hold for years? Is this what For Better or For Worse is all about? Do you divorce them when they no longer know who you are and you can no longer care for them? Is there room for another relationship while sticking around and caring for your spouse? I mean, these are loaded questions. And Cecily, you throw in the interracial element and it's even more provocative, as Dan discovered. I mean, what's your reaction to all of this?
Well, it is provocative in that respect, if you think of it that way. But I was a fan of B. Smith and all that she's done. And when that happened, it shocked me. And I think it was a level of disrespect, not because she was white, but because B was still alive. And, you know, we think about what we would do in that situation. No one really knows until you're in there. But I think for that moment, I'm like, for better or for worse, till death do us part. Respect her, honor her, care for her until it's over, then move on with your life. That's just my thought. But again, would I do that? Would I want my husband, you know, at that moment to be able to move on until, or wait until I'm gone? I really don't know. But for that moment, I was a little upset that, hey, dude, wait till she's gone before you start messing with your side chick, please.
So how about you, Amy or Bill, if either of you want to weigh in? This obviously is a scenario that nobody likes to even imagine, but it is a dilemma that more and more are facing every day. What do you think?
I don't think there's an easy answer. You don't know until you're in it. You know, it's a tough thing. It's so easy to judge other people from the outside and to have an opinion when you're not actually living in it. But I don't know that there's any right or wrong answer here. It's up to each individual person that's going to have to go through it.
You know, here's the thing about it. We don't know what to say or how to react to this because we don't know enough about it. It's one of those examples where we need to have the conversation. You know, it's one of the reasons Alzheimer's and caregiving are both so devastating is as soon as you're diagnosed with it, you start to isolate those people. They can't go out in society. The caregivers are there 24/7. They're not out in society, so they're kind of shielded and hidden away. And I just don't think people realize how much strength there is in community, in reaching out, in bringing in help and bringing in groups and bringing in other people just to have the conversation, if nothing else. And then a lot of these concerns end up, well, it becomes more understandable and easier to put ourselves in their shoes.
I never planned on anything like this in my entire life.
Sorry. Did you know that there's a lot of power in this tube of lipstick? Sheryl Kurland does. In fact, her posse and the power of lipstick has helped change the lives of domestic violence victims across the country to help them see themselves differently, feel differently, and to move forward. Take a look.
I never planned on anything like this in my entire life. I had no idea how to start a nonprofit, but I was giving workshops as a volunteer at Safe House, our local shelter, and I saw how broken these women were, and I saw a room of beautiful people, and I just just the image and taking it home with me, I said, there's got to be something else I can do. How can I fill in the blank to make these women feel like women again? And my mom always used to say, Sheryl, if you want to feel better, go put on a little lipstick.
Before her next workshop, Sheryl went and bought several brand new lipsticks. At the end of the workshop, Kurland told the women that she had something for them as a thank you and spilled the lipsticks onto the table.
It was like I took a magic wand to the room. The women cheered up, they were laughing, there was joy, the pain was gone, the stress was gone, and they sat there and they helped each other pick the right color, and then they sat there and they started having normal conversation, and I absolutely could not believe what I was seeing. I did the workshops about every 2 weeks. Same thing happened over and over again. I said, this is a miracle. I have got to multiply this miracle by the thousands. And that's how I got the idea for Find Your Fabulosity.
Sheryl recruits clubs, businesses, and organizations all over the United States to do lipstick drives. That's how Jerry Evans met Sheryl and became involved.
The whole premise that lipstick could give someone confidence, that somebody could finally break out of being told that they were not pretty, they were not worthwhile. And it was a powerful story that she told, and it was one that when I said to our Rotary Club, would you like to be part of it? We did. I lost one of my assistants 10 years ago to domestic violence. And so this has just meant so much to me, and I can only imagine what it might have meant to her.
Sheryl's first goal was 60 lipsticks, then 100, 1,000, then 15,000. Today, Find Your Fabulosity has distributed over 75,000 lipsticks to around 300 domestic violence shelters across the United States. And in return, Sheryl has discovered passion and purpose.
It's kind of bittersweet because it's needed. You know, it's an epidemic in this country, but at the same time, the fact that I can make an impact on these women is I'm excited for every single day that I wake up, and it never changes. I love it.
You can go to findyourfabulosity.org to find out how you can start your own lipstick drive or register your local domestic violence shelter to receive donations full of lipsticks.
Welcome back to What's Next. Has growing older changed your values? And if so, in what ways? We asked this question. Katie Jones says she's more tolerant, patient, and empathetic. The struggle is real for all of us. At TW, Terry says, I value myself, finally. And it's less about me and more about others for Lenore Burkhart Becker. So guys, I'll open up the question to you. What about you? Do you think your values have changed as you've gotten older? Bill, let's start with you.
You know, they do. What a cool thing you had there, because you had one person that said, well, I realize it's okay to be about me, and another person said, well, I'm less about me and more about other people. But I think what they're missing is you see your place in the world better. That's a value that you get as you age. It's not me and the world, it's me as part of my community. And that's one thing that I really, really like about this at this stage of life.
I think I value just the time that I'm able to spend by myself. At one point, I had to be around a lot of people, but there are times where it's okay for me just to be alone so that I can drown out all of the noise that's going on around. So I value that time of just centering back to that. But then I also value now being able to forgive myself for mistakes that I've made, things that I may have said, people that I may have hurt. I have to be able to forgive myself first and then forgive others. And so being able to do that as you're getting older releases a lot of stress, a lot.
Isn't it interesting how we all react differently to these provocative questions? You know, I like to think, whether it's true or not, that my core values have never changed, but just my ability to not just live by those core values, but also to react according to those values has gotten better. And I've not always been good at that, but hopefully I'll get better and will continue to do so.
Yeah, and I kind of wonder if there's like primary values, like you said, Mark, core values, and then there's these secondary values. The core values never change, but the secondary ones are the ones that do evolve and grow as you age.
And you want to evolve. Actually, as you grow older, you want to evolve into the person that you were naturally born to become.
I think that really is where you find the joy in aging, constant self-improvement, as slow as it might be. It's kind of like they say, sharpening the saw, based upon experience, based upon understanding your own strengths and weaknesses. Can we change the way we respond to adversity? Can we change the way we react to stress? Can we change the way we handle anger? That's a pretty good what's next for all of us if we can just continue to move in that direction. We'll see you next time.